Lord of the Rings. It's awesome. It's my favorite three movies of all time. I watch it
It
every
is
year.
same with me. I watch it like 5 times every year. But I actually just recently watched it about like 4 weeks ago, maybe less than that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you watch
And
extended editions? Cause I this
uh,
this
I,
last time was the first time I watched them. They're great.
I, I've seen them. My cousins have them, so I've seen all the extended editions. Except they're really expensive, and you can never really
Yeah.
find them in stores and online because they're usually always sold out. So I only have the theatrical editions for the time being, but I will get the extended editions.
Yeah. Physically, I started with the theatrical. I watched the theatrical 100 times, and then we got a subscription to HBO Max to watch the extended editions like 3 months ago, and they are cool.
They are. They're much more accurate to the books as well. They add more, a little more detail. Also,
Yeah.
important scenes that really explain a lot of things. Yeah.
How on earth did Saruman's death not make into the theatrical cut? I knew going in, but still, that's insane.
Yeah. They're really good movies, and I don't. In my personal opinion, I like them much more than Star Wars.
As movies, definitely.
Mainly because I've seen Star Wars half a million times, and they get quite. For
Mm.
me, as they just don't have the same magic as they used to. So I
Yeah,
enjoy Lord of the Rings much more.
they are some of the best movies of all time.
Now, if Braveheart didn't exist, this movie would be my favorite movie, and that is Return of the King from Lord of the Rings.
Yo,
That's I was
obviously
just
a
I really
classic.
when I recently rewatched it, I was like, I love this movie, but now I love it even more because I finally sort of got to really appreciate it because I've the thing about the Lord of the Rings movies, they're kind of long, sometimes you can sort of lose yourself because and also I have stuff I have to do, so I kind of have to pause it in between and really not take it in all the way.
Hmm.
But when I finally got to sit down and watch them all and sort of take them in, I fully really began to appreciate them. So Return of the King is it's the best one. I mean, they're all amazing, but it's my favorite one. Yes.
Yeah, I really can't blame anyone for having any disagreement on me with which is the best of the trilogy, because they're all so darn good.
Yeah, that's just all right. The next movie is another Lord of the Rings movie, and that's Fellowship of the Ring, which
That's
it's
my
really
favorite.
awesome. It's just a great movie. It's really well. It's just it's
Everything.
just
Well, everything.
made. Yeah, it was just well everything. So
Who's your
it's just
favorite
it's just
member
not
of the Fellowship?
Sam.
Okay,
I just
that's a good choice.
Sam and Gandalf and Aragorn, also
That's
Gimli and Legolas are all my favorites. So pretty much all of them.
my
But if I were to go
dad,
by,
Frodo.
but if I were to go by my favorite one, it'd be Sam. He's he just has this sort of this vibe to him, which I just think is so awesome. Like he isn't so shattered and broken like Frodo is because of the ring, and he isn't. He's just an awesome dude, guys.
Oh
And he
yeah,
has some of the best lines and the best scenes in the entire trilogy. So it's just
that
and the books
speech
too. So I just got
in that torn down
the
place
Two
at the end of the
Towers
second movie.
was
Yeah, the one
awesome.
at the end of the Two Towers. Incredible. My favorite's Aragorn.
He
Just
is
awesome guy.
awesome.
All around. Metaphor for Jesus. That's bonus points.
That is bonus points. He, yeah, he's pretty cool. But yeah, the speech
Hmm.
speech at the end of the second one was pretty awesome. But my favorite scene is actually I have two favorite scenes of Sam, and that is it isn't the speech. It's the one. It's when they're on Mountain Doom when he puts him on his back and carries him up, which is classic, I guess, very
Definitely.
iconic. And also the when they're in when Frodo's hanging off the edge and he tells him not to let go. I just find that scene just so. I just love the cinematography and the way that scene's played out.
Oh
Even
yeah,
though not happened in the books, it's still awesome.
it really feels like they're going to die and the world is ending.
It does. Also, the end of all things scene is also a pretty good scene, even though it's not say a, a Sam
Hmm.
scene. It's still a good scene. Yeah. So
Well, he does go
that's
on about how like can't remember the feel of grass or whatever.
that's the scene where Sam picks them up. And the
Oh,
last
that's
scene where
true.
they're
Yeah,
the last scene when they're I say the last scene, but the final scene I guess to say of the journey when they're laying on the rock on the mountain
yeah,
and
that's
Frodo
pretty
finally
good.
says he can remember it all. That scene also sort of hits me because
Man,
it was sort of inspired by I guess sort of an addiction way. I guess because usually when you have addictions you forget most things that were good and pure. And finally when he lets go of the ring, which I guess you say was his
mm,
addiction or his burden, he can finally remember who he was and all that was pure. So
man, that makes
really
me
really awesome.
respect the movie even more. It's I want to rewatch it again now.
I do
It's
too.
only been 3 months, but I'm down.
Yeah, and after Road Warrior comes the Two Towers, which is, I mean, you could switch Mad Max from the Two Towers and it really wouldn't matter. They're both great. I I honestly think out of the trilogy, it's sort of, I mean, obviously none of the movies are bad. I just don't,
Yeah.
I, weird reason, just don't sort of really like it as much. And obviously, I still love it a lot. I just don't like it as much as the other
Same.
two.
Hmm.
I just feel as though it has its amazing parts, obviously, but then also has its dry parts where it just sort of drags on a little bit, I feel.
I think it's the one that definitely lacks the iconic scenes that the other ones have.
Yeah. So
Other than
it's
that,
an amazing movie, but
hmm
it's not the best one.